Hello, internets. So once upon a time, I did a bunch of prototypes way back when, and I've kept doing prototypes, not as much anymore because I have other things to do, like checking Facebook and typing things on Twitter. But I do still have a few prototypes I've made sort of hanging around my hard drive that I haven't gotten around to sort of putting on my blog yet. And I know reading is too much work for people nowadays. I know it's for me, so I figured I'd make a video. So this is what I'm thinking I'll show you this time. I've made a tower defense game, and of course it's not a regular tower defense game. So if you imagine a regular tower defense game, you'd add some towers like this here, and you place them in sort of suitable positions like that, maybe. Maybe one more. Put this guy over here. And you put on the creeps, pretty much. And this is what you do. You sort of build a bunch of towers, really as many towers as you can, because you don't want money sort of sitting around and not being used. So you build as much as you can until you run out of money. Wait until all the creeps die, and build more towers, and repeat and keep going. And this is a mechanic that works surprisingly well. I mean, tower defense has been around now for a whole bunch of years, ever since it got introduced back in Warcraft 3, I think. And there's been tons and tons of games made like these, and I've played a whole bunch of them that have been great, a whole bunch of them that haven't been great, but still I've kept on playing somehow. Which is fascinating. A game that you sort of know it's not very good, and you don't really like it, but somehow you still keep playing. So if you look at my round here, it's not going very well for me. These guys are going to escape, and it's getting a lot worse pretty quickly. So if we stop it right here, what's going to happen now in a regular tower defense, I'd be screwed. I mean, these guys would sort of leak and escape off the screen here, and I'd have to start over and play again. And that's not very fun. So what you'd have to do is sort of replay the entire round, and the interesting bit is often at the end when you've done all sort of the groundwork and all of the waiting, and you can fiddle around with the settings. So I figured I'd try and make a game that gets rid of all this waiting and goes straight to the sort of meaty gameplay. So instead of quitting here when we obviously fail, we can go back to the beginning. Change the positions of our towers, maybe add one more. I kind of liked having him there. Okay, let's do one more just for proper overkill. Put this guy. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just so these guys are going to sort of fall in here for a little bit, and oh yeah, when you're placing towers, you can hold Control or Command if you're on Mac to remove the towers when you're trying the prototype later. And we'll see how it goes this time. You can see, I mean, I've got a lot more towers here, so the defense looks a lot more solid. So I'm probably going to make it. And I mean, if I'm not perfectly happy with this, I can stop. I can go back. And the slider up here actually lets me sort of go in reverse in sort of real time, or whatever you want to call it. I can rewind, and I can add another tower here. Let's put one in there. That should be good. So being able to rewind is nice. I mean, it gets rid of some of the waiting. I can instantly go back and sort of fix my errors. But I still have to wait for things to sort of tick forward. Like if I play this, it's slow, and now that you've seen I can rewind backwards, the step to fast forwarding isn't too far, so I can just pull the slider here and we can watch the entire round in sort of super high speed. And you can tell, if you've been sort of paying attention, you're probably seeing this meter here that says 0 escaped. It tells me that I'm going to make the round. You can also see the sort of visualization stuff I've got going on here that lets me see what's been going on in the past. So when you have this sort of, when you have the technology to sort of jump around in the timeline, and I've put in a lot of time actually to get this to run fast enough so I can just skip the entire rewind fast forward bits and just move these towers around and see what happens. And it sort of replays the entire round really fast. You can see here it takes probably, what is it, like 1.5 seconds to do the entire round. And the red lines represent a killing shot. So if we rewind here, we can probably see the first one. Let's go forward a little bit. That guy's health is going down, and coming up. That would be a killing blow. So you can see the red line getting drawn in the background there. That's the killing shot. So you can see which towers are sort of actually doing the killing. You can see this first guy here, where these two first guys aren't really doing, because they're sort of doing the groundwork, and these guys are doing more damage. And this is interesting because it might be that the actual waiting in a tower defense is what makes it fun. I didn't know before I made this prototype, and I think this is not a tower defense anymore. This is something else, I think. But it's very interesting to play around with. You'll notice that you can sort of optimize this, and I think you can make it with 4 towers, maybe even 3 towers. I can't actually remember. It's been a while since I was fiddling around with this. You can post in the comments if you manage to figure it out. And you'll also notice that it's kind of sensitive where you place the towers. I mean, if I put this guy here, I get 24 escapees. If I put him slightly upwards, I get 27. So it's not immediately obvious where putting the towers will sort of, if that will affect the gameplay. So another thing about this prototype is that it only, as you maybe have noticed if you've been paying attention, is that all the towers are around all the time. So even if I sort of go here in the timeline, add a tower, which one was it? This one? No, this one. And move it over here, it's as if it was there from the beginning all along. And that's not a technical limitation. I mean, the game as it is now could probably support it. I'm not 100% sure, but it wouldn't be a big deal. It's because I had trouble figuring out a GUI to just move the towers around in time, like when they were created and when they are destroyed, and another tower sort of conflicting on an earlier tower's space as it appears in time, and it gets really confusing. It's like a Star Trek episode with less turbo lifts, I guess. So yeah, this is my sort of prototype tour for this month or year or millennia, I'm not sure, but I figured I'd show this to you, and you can play the game. It's in the blog post, and do post comments, ideas, whatever you have, and post how many towers you can pull it off with. I think 3 is I'd be very impressed if you do 3, and 2 I don't think is possible. Have a good day, and I hope you like the prototype. Thank you for your time.